Welcome back to my channel today. Today we are talking about and going through all of the makeup mistakes that actually make you look older, so they age you. I'm not talking about general mistakes, I'm talking about mistakes that you probably make thinking that they're giving you a flawless finish, but along with that, they're actually making you look a bit older. So these are the little habits we end up picking up and we don't realize that they're actually making us look older. Whether you're over 40 or you're just getting started in makeup, wherever you are, this is gonna help you because this is really going to stop you from making those mistakes and creating and keeping those habits to give you a really nice kind of youthful look to your face. Now I have all of my skincare on. I'm going to go through all of these bit by bit, but I do need to add something before I go in with my primer. So I'm actually applying this, and the reason being, this doesn't mean you guys need to, it's just because I'm currently on tretinoin and I'm purging, so I've broken out all the way down here and I've got the biggest spot I've ever seen on, can you believe that? Look where it is, right at the top peak of my lip. So one side of my lip looks bigger than the other. It's right there, just in time for my birthday. So I am gonna add this, which seems to work quite well when I'm wearing makeup. So this is my Dr. Sturm Clarifying Spot Treatment in 03. So this is basically like a kind of concealer. It's not enough to use on its own, but I do like to layer this on before I go in with any makeup in case I'm struggling with some spots, which I am. Oh God, I just don't like really doing anything. It's a bit darker for me, but I don't mind because it kind of blends in well and it, you know, is going to be covered with makeup. I actually put this on before I put my primer and I'll explain why in a sec, just because I like this to sit on the skin because it's got some ingredients in there which basically are like antibacterial. It's really good to keep on the skin. Like there's no point me layering it on top of something that isn't going to allow it to kind of, you know, do its job. Where else have I got some? Oh God, they're everywhere at the moment. This one really hurts. I mean, sometimes you can cover something all you want, but the minute the light hits it, it's just like letting everyone know I'm here. Okay, so I do want to just add a bit of primer quickly. So I'm going to use my Laura Mercier blurring primer and I'm only using a little bit just on the areas that I feel like I kind of need it. And also it just adds a little bit of layer and locks in what I've just applied. So I'm just going to pat this on. Let's talk about the first mistake, heavy foundation and concealer. Something that I feel like is a really easy thing to do. It's so easy for us to be a little bit heavy-handed with it and just kind of think we're getting a nice flawless finish when in actual fact it's making us look really aged and just cakey. I see this all the time. It's layering on too much of the foundation and the concealer, trying to basically cover everything up. I get it because, you know, you'd think more equals more of a flawless finish, which it does, but it also does end up making us look a bit older and it enhances things like wrinkles and fine lines. So it isn't actually doing us any favors. It might make you look kind of flawless on pictures, but in real life and face to face, it is a little bit too much. What happens is this kind of heavy makeup, even if you're using a light liquid foundation, by the way, you can still end up looking heavy with it on because you've layered so much on. And what happens is it ends up kind of sitting in your fine lines and over your texture and kind of like exaggerating those areas, which is actually what we're trying to kind of hide as well. What you want to do instead is apply a very light layer. You can always build up if you want, but you can't kind of go in with a whole load of product and then expect it to look natural or try and make it look natural. I'm talking about go for kind of sheer tints or tinted moisturizers or even light coverage, light to medium coverage foundations. The texture of the product is really important. Go for like hydrating formulas, things that are going to really hydrate your skin so it doesn't actually dry up and shrivel your skin, making all those lines and texture look even more obvious. And when it comes to concealer, only target the areas that you need it. I see a lot of people applying concealer all over and it's kind of like, well, you might as well have just applied it in the same way you applied your foundation. You don't need concealer everywhere. You just need it where you need it. And if you feel like you need it everywhere, then that's a different kind of video. That's where you need to look at the type of kind of coverage you're working with and kind of like balancing out like how much foundation you need versus how much concealer you need. Generally, this is about making sure that you don't look older. It doesn't age you. And you need to use concealer and foundation in a very specific way. One should be more than the other. It shouldn't be the same, like in terms of the amount that you're using. And you really shouldn't ideally have to use 2 products to target one problem. Like, you should be able to just kind of resolve one issue that you have with one product. Using 2 products to resolve one issue is just going to result in heaviness, cakiness, and probably enhancing it even more. So what we're going to do is add a light foundation. So something which is a kind of medium coverage foundation, but it is quite light in fluidity. So this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the formula. So I'm using my Patrick Tar Major Skin Hydrolux Luminous Skin Perfecting Foundation. This is in 15 Golden Neutral. So I've just got a small pump on the back of my hand. Now this is where I'm going to get my 106 brush, and I'm going to get a little bit of this product, move it to the side, not a lot, and we're going to create a really light layer all over the skin. So let's just start on this side. And I don't want you to focus on kind of like, oh, but it's not covering up everything as I'm going along. Just do the layer. Just do the layer first. Do a thin layer first. We'll worry about that after. This is just about getting a layer on, because I honestly can tell you 9 times out of 10, you will apply that layer, and then right at the end, when you've actually got that layer, you'll realize, actually, I didn't need so much. So it's really about not trying to cover everything up all at once on your first step. I've really made sure that I've buffed the foundation into the brush before I've gone onto the skin. There you go. Okay, so now that we've got this layer, I can see that even though I wasn't focusing on trying to cover any areas up, like redness, acne, all those kind of things, I wasn't focusing on trying to cover anything. I was just focusing on adding a thin, even layer all over. That's it. That's what my focus was. And because I focused on the correct thing, now that I've done it, I can see that actually it's given me a really nice even finish to my skin. And now it's made me more aware of the areas that do need to be covered and the areas that actually have done okay just with this. Now, in terms of concealer, I want to use something which is quite hydrating and fluid, but something that is going to give me the coverage. Now, personally, there are a couple that I really like. I would recommend, if you need more coverage because you are dealing with some major blemishes, dark spots, dark circles, and the coverage is very important to you, then I would go for something like the DIOR Forever Skin Correct concealer, because that is a kind of full coverage concealer, but it's quite hydrating and it's not drying on the skin, and it's quite nice and fluid. If you don't need as much coverage, I would go for something like the Too Faced Multitasking Concealer, because I feel like it's a really good kind of mix of the best of Tarte Shape Tape without the dryness of it. So it's not going to dry out your skin. It's not as full coverage, but it is much more hydrating for your skin. It's actually a very, very good concealer. So I have got my Born This Way concealer in Sand. Now, I'm going to be very strategic with where I place this, because ultimately I don't want my makeup to age me, but I do want to cover up certain areas and I want to lift certain areas. So the first thing that I am going to do is just get rid of these dark circles on my eyelid. So I'm just going to do a little dot here, and I'm going to get my beauty blender and spray it with my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush setting spray. And I am just going to pat this in. So now what we're going to do is just add a little dash here. And then we're going to go here because I do want a little lift there. And look, I want you to understand that when you're working with lifting the face, what you're actually doing is concealing as well at the same time. So although I'm saying, right, I want a little bit of a lift there, and that's my main concern there, not necessarily the coverage here, right? That's also going to work hand in hand with this area here to be able to cover up what we're trying to cover up. So it's not just lifting, it's also helping to give this kind of dark circle a helping hand to like cover it up a little bit. So everything works hand in hand. So I'm also going to go here and I generally like that because I have slight darkness and jowling there. Now, as you can see, I haven't applied a lot, right? I'm gonna get my beauty blender and I'm gonna just blend this and take this up here. See, this is where all of this works together in terms of coverage. You're not applying a whole load of concealer in a triangle shape. See how we've covered up the dark circle and there isn't actually a lot of product there at all. See, when you try and cover like dark circles, I've seen a lot of people where they draw over the entire dark circle and think, right, that's it, I've got enough. Exactly how dark and big your circle is, that's exactly how much concealer they apply. And that is so wrong because it's just gonna make it look worse. It's gonna look the opposite, but kind of like too white, too bright, too cakey, enhance your fine lines. There's too much product. Wherever you have fine lines or wrinkles, there shouldn't be a lot of product there, especially liquid. We're just gonna do this bit here. Can you see how with the concealer, we've applied such a minimal amount, and it doesn't look like it's super heavy and cakey. Very quickly, if you feel like you get anything out of my videos, it would really, really help me if you could hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also hit that little bell button, because what that means is you don't miss any of my future videos. A lot of the time you guys are asking questions in the comments for certain videos, and I've actually already done them. So I don't want you to miss out. So really, really hit that bell button. It's gonna help you so much. Thank you in advance. And moving on to the next mistake. The next mistake is over contouring your face. Heavy, harsh lines can instantly drag down your facial features. I feel like you're more likely to get that muddy finish with contouring on mature skin because you're dealing with texture, you're dealing with an uneven surface area, you're dealing with a lot of kind of loss of volume and lack of elasticity. So all of that paired with like a dark contour cream is gonna really end up looking quite like patchy and muddy because you've got dryness in the skin, so it clings onto certain areas too. We don't want an extreme sculpted look. We want something which is very natural, slightly lifted and enhancing your features. What you want to do instead is swap out those like dark contour powders for cream contours, but light finish, not overly heavy. And there are such things as heavy contour sticks, which I'm going to go through with you in a second. You want to kind of end up with more of a soft sculpted look, which is slightly warmer rather than a fully chiseled look, right? So because we want more of a softer look, we want to go for something which isn't overly dark. Now let me very quickly explain to you something which is going to be way too dark if you have mature skin, and I think personally a bit too heavy, is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick. This is quite a heavy product, and I would say this is great for sculpting, like full-on chiseled look. It's quite thick and heavy. I would not recommend that for mature skin at all. I would recommend something like the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum. Very lightweight, very natural looking, perfect for a soft sculpt. Or you could use the DIOR Forever Skin Contour Stick. This is a contour stick and it's cream, but it isn't so heavy. It's actually very easy to blend in and very lightweight. Now, I'm gonna use my Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Bronzing and Shaping Serum in medium. So I'm gonna show you how you can use this on top, and it looks so good. Now, what we're gonna do is get some of this on the back of the hand. And this is kind of like a gel liquid. So that's the kind of texture we're looking for. So this is the Hourglass Ambient Foundation Brush. It's a really good brush for blending in products on top of foundation or even applying your foundation with. Now I'm going to take a little bit of this product, drag it to the side, just a little bit, not a lot, right? We don't want too much on this brush. You can dab onto a tissue if you need to. Then what we're going to do is start contouring the face, but very lightly, right? And we're just pressing. You must make sure you dab onto the back of a tissue so there's not a lot of product on here, because you actually don't need a lot on here. Can you see how that's already shaped that for us? So we're still getting that really nice soft sculpt. But it's very soft, look at that. It's not over the top. And you honestly need the smallest amount. So can you see I've taken just a tiny bit to the side and then buffed it into the brush, and then I press it onto the back of a tissue so I don't have a lot of product there. There you go. And you can go on the side of the nose if you want. Honestly, it's easy as that. It's actually going to make your life so much easier. I can guarantee your skin is going to look 100% better. If you're doing all of the mistakes that I'm mentioning throughout this video, your skin is going to look better if you do this the right way. Trust me, it's going to look more youthful. I do actually talk about a lot of tips and tricks that I have on my Substack publication, which is the Beauty Breakfast Club. So please do head on over there. There are 2 versions of subscription. One is free that gives you access to like 1 post a week, which is free, but the other is paid, and that only costs you the same as getting yourself 1 coffee a month. And what that gives you is access to the entire site, plus you can join the community where everyone actually gets to ask questions and help each other out with beauty questions, anything, right? Product recommendations, you can ask questions on there. I'm in that group. It's like imagine it to be a little WhatsApp group that we have. That's what it's like. And the community is growing and everyone is so nice, and it's really nice to actually get to know a lot of you guys too. And we're really getting on really well there, and I'd love to see you over there too. But that gives you access to all of the site. So you get access to like every newsletter. There's so much to catch up on, guys, so you might want to like subscribe soon. So please do that, and let's move on to the next mistake, which is blush. Blush that is too low on the face or too harsh, as in too in your face. Although this is quite a subtle mistake, it can actually not look, it maybe isn't that subtle sometimes if you've applied too much, but it really does make a difference. Your placement of your blush makes a huge difference. If you place it too low on the face, it's going to end up just kind of making that area look bigger. And if you want that, great, do that. But if you're looking for something that isn't going to aid you, then I would recommend going a lot higher. Also, applying too much of a vibrant color. Sometimes I have seen on some people where they clearly love blush. There's nothing wrong with that. I've got people that I know, friends that I know, who have said to me, I love blush. I just keep going with the blush. I love it, right? And I get it. But that doesn't mean you apply so much that it's the first thing that stands out to someone. You want your blush to be complementing your skin, but not overpowering the whole look. Like, you don't want to let people know that you love blush. Do you know, without telling them? Do you see what I mean? So you want to have it look quite subtle and just very natural. I would not recommend using powder blush. I actually very rarely apply powder blush, to be honest. Cream and liquid blushes are going to be your best friend when it comes to like making sure that it doesn't age you, and it just melts into the skin and it looks so much better. And there are some really good liquid and cream blushes that are out now that give you that kind of slight lit from within glow as well. Now there's a couple that I'm going to recommend here. One is the Rare Beauty liquid blush. I think it's called Pinch Me or something. I always get the name wrong, but that liquid blush in Joy is a really nice color. It's this peachy color, but what's nice about that is there is no glow with it. So if you're looking for something which is a matte liquid blush that really melts into the skin and gives you like major color payoff, that's for you. You're gonna love it, and it's easy to blend and you only need the tiniest bit. If you're looking for something with more of a kind of lit from within glow in there, not shimmer, not shine, but it gives you that really nice dewy finish, then I would recommend going for the DIOR Rosy Glow blush sticks. They're really good. What I'm going to apply right now is what shall I wear? I think I've used the Rare Beauty a few times now, so let me move on to something else. Let's use this. I'm going to use the DIOR Rosy Glow blush in Candy. I haven't really used this much yet, this color, so let's use my Hourglass 15 brush. Now, I'm not going to draw onto the skin. I would highly recommend doing it this way. Take your color like that, dab onto a tissue so you don't get a whole load of product on your skin, and you're going to focus just on this top part. I would actually say this is a very similar color to Joy from Rare Beauty, but obviously this is going to give you more of a glow, whereas Rare Beauty is very matte and you get like real intense blush. See, I really love these blushes. These DIOR Rosy Glow Sticks are amazing. See how I'm applying it higher? And this is going to help to lift the area. So it doesn't drag everything down, it actually takes your eye up. So it's just got that really nice lifting effect to it. Okay, so next up is the brows. Now this is where neglecting them completely can age you, but also making them look too harsh can completely age you. So it's really a case of finding that really nice balance for your brows, because your brows can make or break your look. If they're looking like there's not enough on them, it can just kind of like distract from everything that's going on in your face and all the effort that you've put in. And maybe you're enhancing your eyes and, you know, you've got really pretty eyes, but, you know, your brows are kind of letting them down. Or you've applied too much product to your brows and it's just kind of taking, again, everyone's attention away from everything else and just making the whole thing look a little bit overdone. So it's really about getting it right. Now, what I would suggest is use a good brow gel, something that's natural. I would suggest the Benefit Fluff Up Brow Wax, which is really good. My only kind of downside to this is that there's not a lot of product that comes out on the brush and I have to keep going in and out, but you might be okay with it. I've just got like, you know, thick hair, so I end up needing a bit more. So you want to go through your hair and just get these in place. And just press it, and that will keep them in place. A lot of people say they use these brow waxes and they brush it through and then they leave it and they wonder why it doesn't stay, because you do need to flatten it for it to kind of set. Now, next you want to let that dry before you start actually kind of shading in your brow. I would suggest always going with feather strokes first and then filling it in with a pencil if you have any sparse areas. While that is just drying, I'm going to very quickly just add some lip liner. It's just my Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude. God, that spot is getting worse, isn't it? It's so bad. I can't believe it's my birthday in a couple of days and I've got this huge, humongous spot on my lip. Like, it just looks like I've been bitten. Let's just add a little bit of the Rare Beauty Lip Souffle in Brave. And it hurts so much when I do that. Oh, it really hurts. We're also going to very quickly set the base with our powder. Okay, so you want to make sure there's no creases. So let's do the eyelids first. Let's get rid of the creasing on the lids with our sponge. And then you want to use a small brush and your powder. I'm using my Laura Mercier Ultra Blur powder. And just press it in. This is the translucent shade, by the way. Okay, let's get rid of these creases here. Now you can use a puff to press it in, or you can use the brush. The brush is going to give you a softer finish and not so heavy and cakey. So the more wrinkles and fine lines you have, use a brush. If you don't have as many like wrinkles and dryness around the eyes, and you don't find that it generally cakes up, then you can use a puff. Let's try and take the shine away from that spot. I'm just going to get a bigger brush, use my veil brush, and now just press this in everywhere. There you go. See, our face isn't looking fully flat. You can still see that nice kind of lip from within glow. Okay, so now let's continue with the brows. I've got my Urban Decay brow blade and I'm using Brunette Betty, and I am just going to use the pen side and just draw some hairs in. So I've just drawn in some of the hair strokes. There you go. See, so that gives you a good idea with how much you want to use a pencil. You might not even need to use a pencil now. So I'm just going to use the pencil side just on certain areas, not a lot. And I only really add it on the areas that I'm super sparse. And that's it. Okay, so brows are done. As you can see, they're not over the top. They're not taking the attention away from anything, but they're groomed. They're framing the face nicely. Next up, which is our last mistake, is overpowering eyeshadow. This is when you're adding either too much of a powder shade, which is going to actually end up kind of enhancing any wrinkles around the eye area, or you could even be applying too much of a dark shade. So there's just way too much going on, and applying it on your lower lash line where actually you don't need so much. You really are supposed to just be enhancing the area, not going crazy with the dark eyeshadow. And I do feel like if you stick to cream and liquid eyeshadows, you are more likely to get a more youthful finish and something that doesn't look so heavy. I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize in Star Gold. This is a really quick but very easy way to enhance your eyes with eyeshadow. So I've got a little bit on my finger here. It's like this really nice kind of deep gold. Got it on the back of my hand, and I just kind of like get it spread over the finger, not too much, and then I press. You don't want to have a whole load of product that's piling onto your eyes. You shouldn't see a whole load of like a dollop of product. It should be just coating your finger before you actually go onto your eyelid. It's much easier to blend. See how I'm just patting it with my finger? Honestly, it doesn't even need blending. See the difference from the other eye? It's given this very subtle kind of look. It's not heavy. It's not overpowering. And if you really want to add anything to the lower lash line, just take your finger and just look up and go into the lower lash line. Just touch the lower lash line, not the skin, like below. And then that's it, you're done. So let's add some mascara so you can see how this actually does give you a really nice kind of look without looking like you've got so much product on. Everything that we've kind of used is very minimal, very soft. That's the main focus here, very softly done, not over the top. So obviously we're gonna curl the lashes quickly. I'm going to use this mascara because I am loving it at the moment. This is the DIOR Over Volume mascara. I do feel like it's a really quick and easy way to get like nice curled lashes and long and voluminous without having to spend too much time on it. Look how quick that is, right? Let's just add a little bit on my lower lashes. And those are my top makeup mistakes that are very common, easy habits to fall into, things that we wouldn't even sometimes know. And I really do hope this has helped you to see that you can get a really nice, youthful, soft look, which isn't heavy, isn't over the top, isn't overpowering, with minimal makeup, and still, you are still able to cover up things like dark circles. And obviously my skin is purging at the moment and it still looks okay. More importantly than the mistakes I've mentioned, you now know what to do instead. So hopefully this has really helped you. If you have any questions, let me know. Everything is listed in the description below, and I'll see you on the next video.